Yo, what is going on, homies? It's your boy Stumped back for another Optc video, and in today's video, we're hopping back into the Garp's challenges using a mono quick team now, led by Sanji and Pudding. So we do have one team to complete all WhiteBeard, Eneru, and the Navy Garp's challenges. Very similar to the video I did upload this morning, where we took the mono Dex team in using Sanji Pudding as our leader. This time we're going to be using Sanji as our quick leader. Well, still Sanji and Pudding, I guess. So, let's take a quick look at the team before we hop in. So, Sanji and Pudding are our captains. Very, very good. When they are when they are in their dual form, they're a 5 times captain. 1.35 times HP, 1.5 times recovery, reduce damage by 10%, and make strength, dex, and quick orbs matching. Very, very, very good captain ability. Very good limit break with hunger, pinch healing, and recovery bind, which is very, very nice. Their switch ability is their big draw, though. With this team, like, you guys can just heal forever, and it makes these challenges a lot easier than they actually are. Not exactly my favorite playstyle in the world, but it does need to be noted that it is very, very strong. Their switch ability completely removes paralysis to spare and slot bind on themselves. Slot bind is very, very good, and gives themselves a matching up through block ops, very similar to Laffy, which is excellent. They are going to heal 25% of the damage received during that battle while moving on to the next phase. So, as long as you switch, all the damage you take up after that first switch, you will heal back 25%. So, they're very, very good. Next, we've got Laffy themselves, talking about Laffy. They're an excellent, excellent sub for Sanji Pudding. As a sub, they are a fighter or a cerebral, and then in their dual form, they are a fighter as well. So they work great. Their switch ability doubles their attack, goes through enemy defenses, same thing. Removes slot bind, gives themselves an orb, which is excellent. They're a 2.5 times orb boost. They can make matching orbs. Very, very strong. They have very good supports like Ryoiin and Corazon, and in this case, we are using Corazon as our support to remove bind, despair, and paralysis, which is very, very strong. We also have Onami on our Sanji and Pudding. That is very important. That way we can actually reduce the defense to 0 on the Jozu stage of WhiteBeard. The next unit we have is Vivi and Rebecca V2. One of the best subs you can possibly use for Sanji Pudding, in my opinion. Their switch ability is very, very good. It's 1,500 healing, remove special bind on themselves, and boost the chain multiplier by 1.25. It's very, very good, especially for the Eneru stage as well. Their special will double Cerebral and Striker's attack, and they also double orbs as well, which is very, very good. So, excellent unit, very good limit breaks as well, so love to see it. Next, we've got Sugar. Sugar is absolutely god tier for the Enel fight, as we can get around stun. Very, very strong, turning everyone into bears. And we can actually use the new Chopper support. Now, I don't even know if this is really essential, but it was a lot of fun using Chopper as the support. Very similar to how I used Robin on the Mono Dex team, which was... Oh, actually, no, I used Robin in a different... you guys will see that video coming up shortly. But Chopper will heal and give us cold affinity for Cerebrals and quick characters, which is really, really nice. Finally, we have the Limited Rare Recruit Sakazuki. Very, very good unit. Sets the defense to 0 for 2 turns. And reduces attack down and paralysis by 5 turns. He's very, very good for the the WhiteBeard fight, as he can remove the attack down and paralysis on the Marco Vista stage, as well as giving us extra damage, as we do have 4 quick units. So that's enough about the team, guys. Let's hop into the runs. So for the first Garp's challenge, we are taking on WhiteBeard. Now with WhiteBeard, the big gimmick is getting around attack down, and that's why bringing Sakazuki, or Akainu, is very, very good, as he can get around both paralysis and attack down, or mainly for the Marco and Vista stage. On stage 2, we come up against the Watermelon Head guy. He's going to give us our first lot of attack down, and also does a bit of a HP cut. So we are going to use our Sakazuki special here. That is going to set the defense to 0, remove the attack down, and give us a conditional boost against defense to 0. And then with the switch abilities of Vivi and Rebecca and Laffy, we can just do enough damage here to just take him out easy peasy. The chain multiplier buff that Vivi and Rebecca provide is actually really, really strong. And when you are doing these sort of like challenge runs, that little bit of extra damage just goes a very long way. On to the next stage, we come up against, is it Haruma, Atmos, and Mr. Chainball guy. They are going to special bind us for 3 turns, but Laffy's obviously immune to that as a sailor, as well as Vivi and Rebecca being able to remove it with their switch ability. Ideally here, you want to try and switch into a couple of your quick units, so you can take out Atmos easy peasy, and then with your back-ended damage, you can finish off Haruma in the front. Unfortunately for us, though, we do need to take an extra turn on the Chainball guy, so make sure you do switch with Sanji and Pudding. That way you can start stockpiling any of that extra damage, and you can convert it into healing moving on to this stage. With this team, you can actually stay at very high HP, even with taking a lot of shots. It's actually fairly simple and very easy to do. On the next stage, we come up against Speed Giru, Fossa, and Iso. Iso is always on a 2-turn cooldown, and Speed Giru is always on a 1-turn cooldown, but Fossa could be on a 2 to a 4 turn. Now, unfortunately for us, we had Fossa on the 2-turn cooldown, but it's really not that big of a deal, as we're actually going to take a turn on Iso here, as we really want to get our Sakazuki special back. So ideally, you just want to finish off Speed Giro here and actually do as much damage into Foster as you possibly can. But for me, I actually managed to take him out, which is really, really cool. On the next turn, we are just going to put in a few pot shots into Iso here. We do want to take some damage, so make sure that you are switching with your Sanji Pudding. That way you can start stockpiling any of the damage, convert it back to healing, move on to the next stage against Jozu. A lot of these characters do have pinch healing as well, and if you are switching with Vivi and Rebecca, you are getting around 1,500 extra healing on top of what you are healing with the Liberal Hind and your auto heal sockets. So getting a guaranteed 3,500 healing every single turn actually helps out quite a lot. And then just with that 25% extra healing moving into the next stage, it's just going to keep you at a nice chunky HP pool. Once we've sort of taken 2 shots from Isu, we can start dealing some damage, utilizing our pinch healing units to get a bunch more healing back, and still using the 2 turns to take him out. Mainly, the main reason we're stalling here is just so we can get our Sakazuki and our Sakazuki special back. That's the big reason that we are stalling here. And once we do get that special back, we can move on. Well, we really need it for the Marco Vista stage, so as long as we get down to around 2 or 3 cooldowns, that's really where we want to move on. Moving on to the next stage now, we come up against Jozu. Jozu puts up 3 turns of damage reduction and defense up. So this is where the support of Onami is very, very strong, as we can actually use the special of our Sanji and Pudding to not only remove the damage reduction, we can set the defense to 0, and we can get color affinity to our fighters and our cerebral units. And because we do have a couple of Dex units on this particular team, in Vivi, Rebecca, Laffy, and Sanji and Pudding, we can actually easily take out Jozu, no worries whatsoever. So moving on to the next stage now, this is where things usually get a little bit tricky, but we are going to get 3 turns of paralysis, 3 turns of attack down, and 3 turns of chain lock from this Marco and Vista stage. After you do kill Jozu as well, he gives you normal attacks only, which is a little bit frustrating, but for this team it doesn't matter because we don't have any sort of back-ended damage. What we're going to do on this stage, we're going to use our Sakazuki special to remove the paralysis and the attack down. Then we can use our switch abilities, as well as using our Laffy special to get a 2.5 times orb boost. Now Laffy here is going to hit ridiculously hard, as Laffy also has a 2 times attack boost. So as you can see, we can, even with the chain lock, we can easily take out Marco and do a bunch of damage into Vista as well. We really want to just hang around on this particular stage here, just to remove the chain lock. That's the big thing that we want to sort of get rid of before we move on. But basically, once it hits the 2-turn cooldown, you can actually move on. Moving on to the final stage now, we come up against Ace and WhiteBeard. Now, WhiteBeard has a lot of HP, but Ace is going to slot bind our captains as well as our bottom row. But with the amazing switch ability of Sanji and Pudding, we can actually remove the slot bind, which is really, really nice. We are going to switch with Vivi Rebecca first, get the chain multiplier buff, and then use their special so we can get a chunky 2 times attack and a 2 times orb boost. We can then switch with our Sanjis and Pudding to make sure we get some guaranteed orbs. We can use our Sanji Pudding special to get a 2.25 times color affinity boost, as well as making ourselves a 5 times captain. And then we can finish it off with Sugar, turning everyone into bears, and just absolutely wiping the floor with this particular stage. As you can see, like 5 mil with the first shot. Just a lot of chunky damage there. So goodbye Ace, goodbye WhiteBeard. Let's move on to Enel now. So moving on to the next Garp challenge now, we come up against Eneru. Now with Eneru, it's a little bit fiddly as the big gimmick here is fear as well as stun. But Vivi Rebecca just make this absolutely cakewalk, as you can remove the special seal with their switch ability, as well as removing the rest of it with their special. Also using Sugar, we can get around the stun very, very nicely as well. But on stage 2, when we come up against the Skypiea lackeys, they're going to give us 3 random units, bind and special bind. Now with the support of Corazon, we can actually remove the bind, which is really, really nice. And then with our switch abilities, we can actually take out this particular stage in one go. We have a lot of color affinity here, as we can switch into our Dex units. And with the switch ability of Laffy giving themselves such a monstrous attack boost, we can easily just blitz our way through this particular stage. If Vivi Rebecca do get special bind too, make sure you switch with them. That way you can actually just remove the special bind, which is really, really nice. On to the next turn, we come up against Tweedledee and Tweedledum. I think their names are Totoro, something like What we're going to do here is we're actually going to switch with our Sanji Pudding and use our Sanji Pudding special, mainly so we can actually set the defense to 0. The thing about the Eneru stage is we don't really need our Sanji Pudding specials towards the end. Because our captains get stunned, we actually can't use them on the final stage. So make sure that you are using them throughout the run and take advantage of the fact that you can actually get a lot of extra damage with a 2.25 times color affinity boost. But with Nami setting the defense to 0, you can actually get a lot of extra damage that way too. These guys do have a burn as well as a 3 hit great barrier. But if you are taking damage from the burn, you can actually stockpile that with healing. So make sure that you are switching with Sanji and Pudding. That way you can just get a lot of extra healing moving on. And that burn, instead of just doing a butt ton of damage, will actually become a butt ton of healing. But as you can see, just on the second turn, we don't even need to hit perfects, as that 0 defense is actually critical, as well as having a 5 times captain and a bunch of matching orbs, which is really, really nice. On to the next stage, we come up against WhiteBeard and 2 of his Skypiea friends. Now, the dude with the chef hat, he could be on a 2-turn or a 1-turn cooldown, but ideally on this particular stage, we want to try and take out the 2 units in the back in 1 turn. So use your switch abilities wisely and try and keep at least 1 character that has a color affinity against the quick unit. As you can see here, just with Pudding, we can do a butt ton of damage. Fortunately for me, I actually stuff up and I actually don't have the damage to take him out, and then I hit him with Laffy. Laffy has that 2 times attack boost, so just take advantage of that too. But on this particular stage, we do actually want to stall a little bit. So we are just going to take our time. Well, actually, no, we're not going to stall. That's right. We're going to use our Sanji Pudding special, and we're actually just going to wipe this particular stage in one go. Because we move into the next stage, we actually lose our specials. We get our specials reversed. We actually want to take this particular turn out with our Sanji Pudding as our captain. Very important. Sanji and Pudding are in their dual form, just so we can actually get that 5 times multiplier, as well as a bunch of matching orbs to make this particular stage just a little bit easier. On this stage, we come up against the 2 Skypiea units. I cannot remember their names. But the dude on the ball, he does damage threshold for 4 turns on himself and himself only. And they roll your specials back by 3 turns, which goes down to 2 after preemptive, and do ship bind for 2 turns. So what we're going to do here is we're just going to use our switch abilities. Laffy getting immunity to the damage reduction, as well as getting a 2 times attack boost. Should have been able to actually take him out on that particular stage there, but I actually attacked in the wrong order. I didn't hit with Laffy last, so Laffy could have done a little bit more damage there, and you wouldn't have to worry about the attack down. If you do get the attack down like myself, you can easily just use a Kainu special to remove that whenever you really need to. The attack downs are not that big though, and as you can see, we can still do a butt ton of damage through the attack down. And see you later. So as you can see, the attack downs are not overly drastic, and we can easily just make our way through it, no issues whatsoever. On to the next stage, we come up against Kidatsu and Om. They are going to bind our bottom row for 4 turns, which should go down to 1 turn respectively, depending on how your sockets look. Ideally, you want to have max bind sockets, so that way you don't have to worry about it too much. On this particular stage, we are just going to switch with our Sanji Puddings. That way we can start getting some healing back. We can switch with our Luffy and Law, and we're actually going to use our Luffy and Law special here, I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly. Nope, we are not. We must use it on the next turn. So we're just going to do a bunch of damage to Kidatsu here. And then we're actually just going to take a shot from Om, remove the bind, and take them out on the next turn. So now that we've got our units back, we're going to use our switch abilities to get some matching orbs, as well as a chain multiplier buff. We're going to use our Kainu special here, because we actually, just because we can. We're going to set the defense to 0 and get a conditional buff. And then with our Laffy special, we are going to get a 2.5 times orb boost. Now, Laffy, once again, is going to be hitting ridiculously hard here. And if you are in the quick variation, you are going to, sorry, the dex variation, you will do a little bit more damage. But when you move on to the final stage, make sure that you do have Sanji as your captain, mainly because this team is built around quick. And that way, Enel will actually turn into a strength unit. Enel turns into the opposite color to whatever your captain is. So running dual units for this particular fight can be a little bit finicky. On the final stage, we are going to switch with Vivi Rebecca. So we get the chain multiplier buff, as well as using their special to remove the special bind and get a 2 times attack and orb boost. Then we can use our sugar special, turn everyone into bears. And with the support of Chopper, we can actually get color affinity here, which is really, really nice. And as you can see, that barrier just means diddly squat. And we can easily take out Eneru, with the final shot being from Sanji and Pudding. Easy peasy. So on to the final Garbs challenge now. We're coming up against the Navy or the Marines, whichever one you want to look at it. Very similar to the Enel fight, the final boss, Akainu, will actually turn into the opposite color. So whenever you are using dual units for these fights, just be very careful. But the big gimmick of this particular fight is Threshold. Lucky for us, our captains actually removed Threshold. So on stage 2, we come up against Kobe and Helmeppo. They put up 2 turns of Threshold and give us 2 turns of Hunger. But with the amazing limit breaks from Sanji Pudding and Vivi Rebecca, we can remove that easy peasy. And then with our friend Sanji Pudding special, we can remove the Threshold and do heaps and heaps of damage here to take out Kobe and Helmeppo. As you can see there, Law just hits so damn hard with the extra 2 times attack and that 2.25 times color affinity. As I mentioned, Law and Luffy are just such a good sub for Sanji Pudding teams. It's ridiculous. It's really, really good. Nice to see that character getting a bit more of a resurgence. On to stage 4 now, we come up against Smoker Tashigi and Hina. They're going to give us Despair and Bind, respectively, with our sockets. Should go down to 1 turn of Bind and remove the Despair completely with the Corazon support. And then we can actually just use our Sugar special here. Now, Sugar can turn everyone into bears, and that way we actually don't have to worry about the bind on the bottom row. We also get color affinity with Chopper here, which means if we actually switch to Smoker when we're hitting with our Dex units, we can easily destroy Smoker, take out Tashigi on the first turn, and then focus on taking out Hina on the second turn. If you don't take out Tashigi on the first turn, she will give you 1 turn of attack down, which is not that terrible. I think Hina will give you more bind, and then after the second turn, and Smoker does like damage reduction after the third turn. But as you can see, with the bears, we can easily take that stage out. On to the next stage, or stage 5 now, against Kizaru. This is where things start to get a little bit tricky. So against Kizaru, he puts up a perfect barrier, so you need to hit 2 perfects to break that barrier. But he makes perfects harder to hit, and that's his big gimmick. Making perfects harder to hit with a perfect barrier is a little bit annoying, but what we can actually do here is use the switchability of Vivi and Rebecca to get a chain multiplier buff, and then we can use their special to get an attack and an orb boost to our Cerebrals and our Strikers. Now, unfortunately for us, Akainu doesn't actually get that buff, so make sure you are attacking with him first, and make sure you do switch into Law, so that way you can actually get the buff for Cerebrals and do a little bit of extra damage. Thing about this particular stage is that we actually want to stall here. Stalling against Kizaru means that we can actually remove the harder to hit perfects, and that way we can get our Vivi Rebecca special back. Vivi Rebecca will no longer be in their dual form, so we can get their switch ability back, I should say. After turn 1, he will remove special effects or remove sound effects. So you basically just want to kill him once you get down to the 1 turn of that. And if you don't, he reapplies the harder hit perfects, and then we'll reapply the remove special effects. But as you can see, I got him very, very low. And utilizing the Law and Luffy switch ability means that you can bypass the barrier to do enough damage, even through the harder to hit perfects and whatnot. I think it's on the 3rd turn, he will paralyze us too, but our captains. But with Sanji Pudding, we can remove that easy peasy. On to the next stage, we come up against Fujitora and 3 of his Chicky Babe friends. This is where we can do most of our stalling and get our specials back. But if you need to, you can just stall extra on the Kizaru stage. As you can see, getting healing back with this particular team is really not that big of a deal. On this Fuji stage, though, it's a little bit annoying because you can only tap with 4 characters. So we are going to use the special of Sanji and Pudding. That way we can get ourselves into a 5 times captain multiplier. And then we can use our Laffy special to get a 2.5 times orb boost. Make sure you do switch with Laffy as well. That way you can actually get a 2 times attack boost. And that means they are going to be hitting ridiculously hard. Ideally, whatever characters have orbs, with your switch abilities of Sanji Pudding, you should be able to get orbs on them. And whatever other character gets an orb, just hit with those just so you can maximize your damage. As you can see with the orb buff and the 2 times attack from Laffy, we can easily take that particular stage out. And then we can just take our time here on these girls to get our specials back, depending on how long you took to stall on the Kizaru stage. Ideally, you just want to make sure that you have a Sanji Pudding special ready, your Vivi Rebecca special ready, and your Sugar special ready to go before you hit the final stage. If you have all that ready, you don't need to stall here. I think I had it already, so I just sort of moved on fairly quickly as I did stuff up on the Kizaru stage. Either or will work. Stalling on Kizaru for a little bit helps out quite a lot, as you do want to make sure you get your Vivi Rebecca special back before the final stage. So you do need to stall at least 1 turn on Kizaru. Unless you have your Vivi Rebecca limit break keyed, of course. Onto the final stage against Akainu, he only lets us use 2 specials. He gives us 5 turns of burn at around 8k. And he turns into a super type unit. So what we can do here is we can use the special of Vivi and Rebecca to get a 2 times orb and attack boost. Then we can use Sugar, turn everyone into bears, and make sure we leave our Sanji Pudding available so we can remove the threshold on the revive. After we kill Akainu, he comes back and he puts up 2 turns of threshold. Now, if you don't take out a Kino on the first turn, he puts up a barrier for three perfect hits, which can be detrimental with the burn. But with this particular team, we can easily get around that with Sugar's Bear mechanic. But there you guys go. That was the mono quick team taking on all the Garps challenges. I hope you guys enjoyed this one, and if you did, make sure to go down there and belt that like button for me. And if you are new to my channel, hit the big red subscribe button too. We do upload OPTC videos every single day. But guys, most importantly, wherever you are in this beautiful world, make sure to enjoy the rest of your day. As always, guys, I thank you for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Lights!